Welcome to another Figma tutorial. Today we will be designing task management app inside Figma. First we will analyze user needs and challenges. Then we will move to wireframe and structure layout and focusing on the real content. Once our wireframe is ready, then it is perfect time to start working on UI designing, focusing on colors, typography, spacing and sizing. We will try to make our UI pleasing. Now it's time to make our app interactive and create prototype and animation of the screen. That's it. Let's start designing our app. Okay, before starting we need to understand user needs and challenges. Okay, so here are some user needs we need to keep in mind while creating our app. So the first user need is I want to add a task quickly without too many steps. I want to see my most important task at a glance. I want an easy way to mark a task as completed. Okay, so these are the user need. Now here is challenges for us. Add a new task with one tap. Prioritize task visually, for example colors, labels or icons. Swipe or tap to mark task as done. Okay, so these are the main challenges while we are going to create our app. So we need to keep in mind these and we will solve these challenges. So now we understand all our user needs and challenges. Okay, let's start by creating our first screen wireframe. So select type tool and here we will type the app name, which is task flow, and let's quickly center line. For the type I will be using circular bold 32, and okay, this black is fine for right now. Let's make it 48 from the top. Now select frame tool by hitting F key on the keyboard, and once I click, Figma by default create 100 by 100 frame. Let's make it fixed width and height, so 196 is fine. Let's quickly change the color from white to light gray. Right now we are not focusing on color, we are just creating our structure, right? Okay, so let's center line and let's select again the text tool and make it okay. So for this text, here in this section we will show all active tasks. Okay, so 6 active tasks. Okay, and let's make it 20, center line and make it book. Okay, and for this size let's make it 64. And now let's convert this frame to auto layout by shift A on the keyboard, and as we can see 196, but the height is changed, so let's make fixed height 196. Now let's make these both 0 and center line make it 16. Okay, so this area will show our active task. Now let's create all the tasks user can see and also can mark as a completed. Okay, now let's quickly create our categories like filter. So for this, select text tool and click. Let's create first category, which will be all. So I will be using 14 medium, and let's convert this to auto layout. And for the first one we will be make it black, which represent this is selected. Press enter and select text, make it white, and now select main auto layout and make it fully round. For the left and right padding make it 16, for the top and bottom make it 16. Okay, so this is our first category. Now select duplicate. So for the second category we are not using fill, we will be using stroke, so make it black. For the text make it black. So for the second, like this is a high priority task, so let's assign emoji by pressing command control, and we will be using this fire. Now let's duplicate, and this one will be medium. So for the medium we will be using bold. Let's duplicate again, center line, and for the gap let's use 12. Okay, let's select this and let's try 12. Let's see, I think 12 looking good. So this is the filter category. We will filter our list by these categories. Okay, now let's create our list. So for the list we need to select rectangle and let's click. As we can see, Figma by default create 100 by 100 rectangle, so let's make it 24 by 24. Let's remove the fill and create stroke. Okay, and for the round let's make it 4. And now select text tool and here we will type list item. Let's make it 20. Medium is fine, and we will select category with the option key. Let's duplicate it and make it regular 14. Now select both, convert to auto layout, and now select this and convert to auto layout. Okay, and now we need to select this category, command C, and select our auto layout frame, command V. So as you can see, this is placed to right side. Now let's quickly create stroke, and as we can see now we need to create some padding, so let's make it 16, and for the top and bottom let's make it 24. For the corner radius let's try 16. Okay, and let's make it that much width. As we can see, let's quickly select this and convert it to auto layout. Now select the whole frame and make it auto. Top is fine, and as we can see, this is our first list. Now select this text, make it 12, and here we will type time, so let's make it, this is our first list. Let's quickly make it responsive, so let's make it fill container and select this text, make it, select this and make it fill container. Okay, so the text is already fill container, and let's quickly check the spacing. So here is spacing, let's make it 12, maybe let's use 16. Okay, so let's try 16. Now select and option command K to convert this to component and make this list. Let's duplicate this by command D, command X. Let's place it here. So this is our component. Now let's simply duplicate our list by option key, select both, convert to auto layout, and let's duplicate. Okay, and now let's select this filter list and convert to auto layout both. Let's try to use 32 and select this, make it 16. Okay, now let's create some fill color here, and let's quickly add some padding to the left and right and top and bottom, and add some corner radius, make it 24. And as we can see, for the top and bottom, let's slightly increase it, make it 40, looking great. And let's select rectangle again, and here we will make the height to 4. For the width, let's use 40, make it black and make it fully round. Now let's make it center line by this alignment, and now as we can see, top and bottom spacing we need to make it 16. And now as we can see, here is our list. This is our first screen wireframe. Okay, now let's quickly select this text and let's try to make it smaller text. 16 is fine, and quickly select this list, center line, and select inner content. Okay, let's make it 16 so it is tapeable. So now as we can see, we make it height slightly larger, which is looking good. Now let's quickly create our create task button here. Okay, so for this we need to select frame, click, and let's make it black for now and make it fully round. For the width and height, let's try to use 64 by 64. Let's select pin tool by pressing P key on the keyboard, make it white. Let's make it 4. Okay, for the width and height, let's make it 32. Center line. Now let's duplicate this. Okay, and let's make it for the weight, let's make it 2. Okay, so I think this is now looking better. So we will be use this button for add new task, and we will place it here at the bottom of the screen. Check the spacings, 24 is good, bottom 32 is fine. So this is our create new task button, and now it's time to create our new task screen. Okay, so let's quickly create. Okay, now let's quickly go through our requirements. Let's see, add new task with one tap. So now we will be creating this challenge, and we have already created this visually, like differentiated with the icons, and let's quickly create with one tap option. Okay, so let's simply duplicate this screen. As we can see, here is our plus, so let's unlink this and aspect ratio. Now let's expand this to full screen, make it 50 so that it match with our artboard. Okay, and now let's select these two lines of the plus and align it. Let's try to use maybe 40 by 64 is fine. Let's change the angle, so let's make it so it's look like cross. Okay, as we can see, now let's click on prototype, link this, and click on tab, smart animate ease in ease out. Let's make it 200 so it will be quick. Let's preview this by shift spacebar, and once I click, okay, this is looking great. This is how we can create animation. So now let's quickly create our task creation. Okay, now let's quickly create a new task and select text tool, click enter task name. Okay, and let's increase, make it book, and for the text let's make it big, so 22 I think looking good. Center line and convert it to auto layout. Let's make it 16 from the top and bottom, and left and right 16. Okay, click on stroke, make it white first, and for the stroke let's make it bottom. Okay, so this is how we can create our new task, and let's simply make it full width, and now let's minus 24 and 24 48. So let's minus 48 and center line. So this is how we can create our input, and let's decrease the opacity by 50%. Let's make it minus 48 again to make it smaller. Now this is looking good. Let's check the width. I think the normal is good. Now select this filter list, click, paste it here. Okay, so now let's slightly change this. So let's delete all, and now select sublist, make it white and make it vertical. Select inner content and make it fill container, make it the same width. So here user can select task priority, and 40 is fine. Convert to auto layout and center line. Now let's create our confirm button. So as we can see here, we can simply select frame again and create 100 by 100 frame. So let's try 64 by 64, make it fully round. So make it 99, fill white, center line, command X and paste it here. Okay, simply center line. Now let's create our check. So for the check, let's simply click. This is our check mean confirm. So let's make it black, try 4. Okay, command X and paste here inside frame. Center line by option VH, we need to decrease width and height. So let's try the height 16, make it 2, and again center line. Okay, let's make it 48. Also check center line. So this is our create new task screen. As we can see here, user can click on create button and this screen will appear, and user can enter task name, assign priority, and here we can confirm the task. Let's quickly prototype this, and on tab smart animate, click on this confirm, and on tab smart animate ease in ease out. Okay, so let's quickly check this, confirm, and task created. Okay, so looking great. Now let's create another screen for the list. Okay, so before creating separate screen for the list, I think we will be reusing the same screen again, so we don't need separate screen. So now I think it is the perfect time to create our UI design process, because we have completed our main screen. So let's quickly start our UI design. Okay, so let's select both screen and let's duplicate this because I don't want to mess with my wireframe. So let's keep it the same, and let's create our background first. So command slash, here as we can see, run this plugin make blob. Okay, so let's create bulk, and as we can see here, it will generate some random blobs. So let's make them closer to something like this. Okay, now let's group this, command G and command X. Okay, let's paste it here and send it to back. Next we need to click on effects, layer blur, and let's try 200. I think it's looking good, and let's simply make it 50%. Okay, now let's properly assign the color. So select this, instead of black, let's make this label primary. Okay, and make this fill white. Click on stroke, make it outside, let's try 16, make it white. Okay, and let's drop the opacity to 20%, or maybe let's make it 50%, and let's change color of this to label primary and make this label secondary. And now select this, make it white, and click on effects, background blur, and let's try 50%. Now let's drop the opacity of this white background. Okay, something like this. Okay, now let's click again on the effects, add drop shadow, make it okay. Now let's change the color. So I have already updated the color. Now it's time to add some stroke. So make it outside, let's try 2, and let's make it white. Okay, it's looking good. And we can also click and apply some inner shadow. So effects, inner shade. For the blur, let's make it 8, and let's try white. And for this bar, I think we can make it border. Okay, this is looking good. And now let's select these, instead of black stroke, let's make it fill. Okay, so let's try this fill primary, and I think it's looking good. And the first one, we need to assign some primary color. So let's make this one is pink. Let's try this pink color, and as we can see, our app is looking good. Let's try to add some spacing here. I think 32 looking good. Now let's click on this. We have already created component, so let's click on this, and for the stroke let's make this fill secondary, or maybe let's try primary. Okay, so secondary is fill and make it primary. Okay, this is looking good. Now let's click on this. Let's make this fill primary. Okay, and for these text, label primary. For these two, let's make it label secondary. Okay, and let's check this. This is looking perfect. And now let's select this plus button and make it, let's try some other color. So I think indigo will look good, so let's select indigo. Let's run plugin for the beautiful long shadow. Let's simply adjust the shadow. This is looking good, and let's click on this and click on stroke, make it white. Outside unlink, I think we have some white opacity. Okay, so I think we can try this tertiary. This is looking great, and this is our first screen. Let's try to add some drop shadow here. Let's again run beautiful shadows. This time let's change the color to this bright color, or maybe we can try this red color. I think this red looking good, so let's use this red color. Let's click apply. Our screen is looking perfect. Now let's quickly create this screen color. So let's make this simple indigo, because this is the same screen. Let's also make this indigo. Let's try 3 and also increase this to be 3, and same for this one. Let's make this 3. Okay, now let's click on this and let's try drop the opacity. So let's simply delete this screen. Okay, and we need to duplicate this again, and here we need to command X paste. Let's quickly rename this to task flow create and task flow home. Okay, now let's select this and click on effects, make it background blur. Let's try 50. We can simply duplicate this again. Let's simply increase the height of the rectangle. This is our detail screens. Okay, in the next video we are going to make it prototype and interactive. Okay, so now let's quickly make it prototype. So let's click on prototype tab first, and as you can see, here is our preview iPhone 16, which is fine. And let's select our first list, link it to this screen, and for the trigger, instead of on track we will use on track. Let's quickly check other properties. So smart animate, ease in, ease out, and let's try 300 for the time duration. Okay, and now let's simply select this one and back to home screen, and on track, smart animate, ease in, ease out. Let's quickly test, click, drag. This is looking great. Okay, and now let's click on the plus, click and link it to this screen. On tap, smart animate, ease in, ease out. Once I click on this, okay, and let's link it back to this screen, and also same thing for this one, to link it back to home screen. Let's quickly test our prototype. So as you can see, this is how it's animate, and this is looking perfect. As you can see, now everything is looking great. Now let's quickly create our last interaction, which will be like user can complete task by one tap. Okay, so now let's click on the component we already created. Now let's simply create a variant. So let's click on add variant and duplicate this again. So this is variant 1, 2 and 3. Okay, let's make this whole list link. Once user click on tab, so it will smart animate, ease in, ease out, and in this state, so click on this, make it 0 opacity. For the content, make it to 0, and for the list, let's change the color we assign to our button. So let's make this same fill and stroke to pink. Okay, next we need to create our check here. So let's select our check and paste. As you can see, here is already inside auto layout, so let's turn off auto layout. And as you can see, here is our check, so make it white and check the height. So 88, make it 88 so that we can fix it. And now let's change height of the check to 24, and let's make it center line. So this will be the next step. Once user click on tab, so it will turn to check, and then in this state let's turn off auto layout time and make the height to okay, and let's make it white and remove the pill. Okay, so let's click on prototype and drag noodle to this state, and it will be after delay. Okay, so after delay 0, so it will be 1 millisecond 300, and let's try to make it faster, so let's try 100. Now let's see the animation. Okay, let's preview. So shift spacebar, one side tape, and as you can see this is looking perfect, and as you can see the hair is white, so we can okay, so let's simply make it, let's drop the opacity to 1%. Okay, let's simply check this. Now as you can see everything's looking perfect. Now I need to complete this task, and complete this task. Looking perfect. This is how we can create our UI design. Like for example, we start with our wireframe and then UI design, and then we convert our UI to fully functional prototype. Okay, so this is our prototype which is looking perfect. We can complete the task and we can create new task. As we can see this is looking cool. So this was the today tutorial, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye.